I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. I've been trying to write about the city, my experiences here. And then I decided to write a love story, but that's not working out either. My hero sounds more like a clothing store dummy than a real-life human being, and from what I hear, editors aren't fond of black mustachioed figures nowadays. I've been fighting with him for a week now, the stubborn mule. He won't fall in love with my heroine. He refuses. I've tried to put red blood in his veins, but the two of them just won't get together. They're as far apart as they were the day I sat down to write. I'm at my wit's end. I've bitten off nearly half my fingernails. Look, see? There's nothing wrong with my heroine. I'm sure of that. She is a fascinating, mysterious, graceful creature full of wit and passion and adventure, but not once has he clasped her to him fiercely or pressed his lips to her hair, her eyes, her cheeks. He hasn't even had the guts to devour her with his gaze, as we writers like to say. This morning, I thought he might be showing signs of life. He was developing possibilities, but nothing came of it. He wimped out. That's why I decided to wash my hair and come out here, to get away from him for a while. Back home, I taught school, and hated it, but I kept on teaching until I'd saved up $500. All the other girls teach until they've saved up $500, and then they pack 2 suitcases and go to Europe for the summer. But I saved my $500 for New York. I've been here 6 months now, and the $500 has shrunk to almost nothing. If I don't break it into the magazine soon, well, I'm going to have to go back and teach 37 young devils that 6 times 5 is 30, bring down the knot and carry the 6, that a rhetorical question requires no answer, that the French are gay people fond of dancing and light wines. But I'll scrimp on everything from hairpins to shoes and back again until I've saved up another $500, and I'll come back and try it all over again because I can write. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make this city count me in as the 4,000,001. Sometimes I get so tired of being nobody at all without even enough cleverness to wrest a living from this big city that I want to stand on the corner and scream, take off my hat and wave and say, hey, you 4,000,000 self-absorbed, uncaring people. I'm Mary Louise Moss from Escobedo, Michigan, and I like your town and I want to stay here. Now won't you please pay me some attention? Just a little bit. No one even knows I'm here except myself and the rent collector.
I guess I'm just having a hard time. A hard time understanding why you can't understand why I might be a bit skeptical about you, Dave McDonald, wanting to ask out Madison Montgomery on a date. Can you really not see why I might be a tad bit cautious? Can you really not? Dave, I've been listening to you talk about Madison for 4 years now. 4 years, Dave. And throughout those 4 years, I supported you. I did, when, as a freshman, told me that your locker was next to the most beautiful girl you'd ever seen, and that you were going to ask her out, and that nothing was going to stop you. Well, nothing did stop you, but guess what? You didn't ask her out. And then sophomore year told me that you were going to ask Madison out to homecoming, and that it was your destiny. Your destiny, you said, but did you ask her out then? No, you swore that you'd come down with mono. Not that you had any symptoms of mono, no. As far as I could tell, the only thing you had was a weird rash on your armpit. How is an armpit rash mononucleosis? How do you confuse the two? They're nothing alike. You clearly just chickened out. Look, the point is, it seems like every 6 months you come up with you have some sort of an epiphany about how now is the right time to ask Madison out. And every 6 months you get scared or come up with some sort of an excuse. You have piano lessons, or she's a Gemini, or you heard a rumor that she only dates 20-year-olds. And now you're telling me that you're actually gonna do it? This time it's different? Is that what you're telling me? Okay, so Dave, yes, I am being a good friend by sitting here and not encouraging you. Because I have 2 options. I can listen and keep my mouth shut, or I can take all my frustrated anger and disappointment over the past 4 years and grab you and shake you until you grow a backbone.
Ugh,
Yes, of course I do. You just accused me of being a super cool mean girl, a creature so cruel whose head is so far up her butt that she doesn't care if she calls anyone by the wrong name. You just accused me of that, to my face. So yes, I would like to respond, if that's okay with you. You just made a set of assumptions about me without ever talking to me. And I'm not just gonna sit here while you accuse me of being something I'm not. I would like to respond, if that's okay with you. 3 points I would like to make, Gary. 1. I'm sorry. I honestly thought that your name was Chad, and I'm certain that I called you Chad on more than one occasion. Because I remember freshman year in algebra when I first saw you and playing volleyball with you and going to the history museum with you junior year. And during all of those times, to me, you were Chad. And I'm sorry it took me until today to realize that your name's actually Gary. I really am sorry, because that sucks. 2. Though I did admittedly call you by the wrong name, I do not deserve to be called out like this. You just made a ton of assumptions about me, like how I'm a mean and nasty person. And Gary, that's just not true. Okay, I get this kind of stuff a lot, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's my haircut or the fact that I always sit front row, or maybe it's just my face. Maybe I have a face that makes people think, oh wow, she's a real jerk, what's her problem? And I'm telling you right now, I hate it, and I hate that people assume that I don't like them. Because, I mean, I like people, and I care about people. It's totally unfounded, and it sucks. 3, I am not cool, at all. I play field hockey for Pete's sake. I only have, like, 2 friends. That's it. Okay, unless you count Jody or Darren or Carissa, that's 5, but I don't count those guys. You know why? Because they're too cool for me. I can't hang out with those guys, going to clubs and dyeing my hair or whatever. So I don't know where you're getting off calling me cool Katie Buckman, because I'm not cool, and I'm not that cool mean girl who doesn't care about people. I care, and I care that I didn't get your name wrong. I wish you had talked to me before today. I wish you had told me, because I feel terrible I've been calling you Chad this whole time, okay? So just get off your high horse and give me a break.
It's an absolute mystery to me. I gave her my book while she waited for me to come out after my teeth cleaned. I thought it would be a nice gesture as well. When I came out, the book was nowhere to be found. Now, I didn't mention anything because she seemed intensely occupied with her phone, but my eyes danced around, looking for the book. When we all got up to leave, I spotted the book, and it was crushed. My brand new book, bent to hell, because your mother was sitting on it the entire time. How does that even happen? I picked up the book as soon as I saw it. I couldn't believe how damaged it was. What disturbed me more was that your mother didn't seem to notice or for the matter care. Now you know how I am about my books. I collect them. For this one, I traveled through the worst weather conditions with a head cold just to get the silly thing signed by the author. Only for it to be ruined by your mother. Sorry, she has no self-control, no consideration for the properties of others, and it's infuriating to me. I bite my tongue because it's your mom, but she really needs to know how she comes across.
You always gotta let the last man go. It's honorable. He's the last guy to make it out of the bag. The warrior. He's the last samurai man. You have to give it some thought and wonder, how did this little M&M do it? How is he skilled enough to be the last M&M out of every M&M in the bag? All the different colors, all the different sizes. I always let the last one go because he was the strongest, the swiftest, the smartest peanut of the bunch. If you respect the candy, you have to respect the nut. Some people will call it science. Others will call it luck. I like to call it destiny. It was destiny combined with talent that made that little fella survive. Picture it, all of the peanuts. Some stronger than you, some faster than you, and some smarter than you, all fighting in the back of the bag when you're just about to eat one of them. But this little fella beat the odds. He deserves to be set free on moral obligation alone. But no matter what you say, I'm always going to let the last man go.
Dude, you'll never believe what happened to me today. It all started this morning. So you know how I usually hit this snooze button 4, 5 times? Well, today was different. As soon as I heard the alarm, I just sprang out of bed, and I told myself, today is going to be a great day. I don't know why I said it, but I knew it was going to be great. When I got in the shower, I heard myself humming a cool song that I heard the day before. And while combing my hair in the mirror, I noticed that not only was it a great hair day, but my skin seemed different. It was like it was alive and glowing. And no, it wasn't that new acne cream I'd been using. It was life. Anyway, when I got on the bus, I noticed that the girls were looking at me differently today. I thought maybe it was the confidence or even the hair. But then I thought, who the heck cares? They were looking at me. I looked back at them and they giggled. Man, it felt great. I was on top of the world. When I took a seat at the back of the bus, it came to me. I had a presentation due first period. But I wasn't going to let that ruin my day. I knew the material and I was on a roll. While walking through the halls, I noticed that every group of girls turned to look at me. It felt great. It was starting to get really freaky, actually. I thought, with my luck, I should be playing the lottery. And when I got to my first period class and sat down, I noticed Jamie, that hottie that sits behind me in class, was staring at the back of my head. It felt great. And of course, I was called to give my presentation first. So I strolled up with a gleaming smile. I actually winked at this girl who was snickering at me in the front row. Man, did I feel great. But I couldn't help myself. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. Just when I was about to start my presentation, the teacher called me aside. I thought maybe I'd gone too far with the winking, but decided not to lose my cool and casually strolled over. Dude, what she said to me next made my stomach drop to my feet, like I was on a fast roller coaster. I could feel my face turning as white as a ghost, and it was like my whole day flashed before my eyes. Well, I thanked her anyway, turned away from the class, swallowed my pride, and zipped up my fly.
When I was young, I had a serious self-esteem problem. Seriously, y'all. It was serious. And then one day, my teacher told me something. Bailey, you are amazing. And it was like, ding, the light bulb went off. You know? Like, oh my gosh, I am amazing. I never realized it before. I had like secondhand clothes or whatever. I couldn't do anything at all. And when my teacher told me that, it was like, boom, my self-esteem went through the roof. Like, I am amazing and all the rest of you people are pathetic.
So this one time, me and my friends were going to steal garden gnomes. I've got this friend named Jameson. You know him? He's insane. He's a deviant, right? But he's got this truck, and he's like, dude, yes. But he doesn't like to use a lot of words, you know, because he's like stoic and stuff. So I'm like, yes, because we're symbiotic. We got brainwaves going back and forth between each other. If he was a chick, we would be so much in love. But I don't think about that. I'm just like, let's do it. So, there's this other kid with us, Burma. He's got, like, mental problems or whatever. He's real open to suggestion, right? Like, he'll do anything you say. It's awesome. So we go out to Jameson's truck, real stealthy. Like, lights off, we're coasting down residential streets looking for gnomes. We almost hit a jogger. It was crazy. Anyways, there it is. Jackpot. 7 garden gnomes. They're just sitting there with their little gnome hats and their little gnome faces. Like, who are these people who put all these gnomes out here? What is wrong with them? So I'm like, Burma, grab all of them. And he's like, ah! And I'm like, no, don't scream. But it's too late because he's insane, right? Then he gets spooked when the neighbor's light comes on and he's running away like a cartoon or whatever. So Jameson floors it. We're going 100 miles an hour because his truck is awesome, right? The engine sounds like we've got a bear under the hood, and he's like, "Roar, let me out of here, I'm a bear!" This time, I see the gnome. Just one. Jameson is like, "You've got to steal the gnome because I'm on probation for stealing garden gnomes." So I sprint over to the gnome, and I'm like, "YOLO!" And I grab the gnome, and I fall right over. The gnome is chained to the ground. Yeah, the gnome is chained to the ground. I'm serious. It has like a leg manacle thing, and it's chained down. People have no trust. It's a shame, right? Like, this is our society. People are chaining their gnomes to the ground because they're paranoid. It's sad.
Like any young person, I need employment, and the Golden Arch has called me. I started at the bottom of the ladder and plan on working my way up to the top. That's right, assistant manager. Oh sure, I knew the stories. McDonald's is a fool's dream, boy. You'll never make it. You'll probably die. But I don't listen to the naysayers. They say nay, and I say nay, nay. First step, the interview process. I'm ready. I've done my calisthenics. I have mentally prepared. I am a machine. General Manager Barry Bosley will be interviewing me. No sweat. First question, a softball. Why do you want to work at McDonald's? It's the easiest question in the book. I practiced my answer 1,000 times. I knew it by heart. Why do I want to work at McDonald's? Is that what you asked me? Well, sir, I want to join a fun, flexible team that will provide me with the necessary skills to compete in the global workforce. And by gosh, I love these fries. But I don't say that. The words catch in my throat. I say, I don't know. General Manager Barry Bosley cocks an eyebrow. Sweat is beading down my forehead. Say what you wanted to say. Say the words, dang it. A fun, flexible team. Say it. Mr. Bosley takes his pen and writes down, I don't know, on the interview form. No, it's not what I wanted to say. Then I scream, no, it's not what I wanted to say. That's when I vomit. It started as just a tickle rising. But then, I didn't get the job. I flew too high. I dreamt too much. I miss you, McDonald's. I miss you. What could have been?
I think we should break up. I'm sorry. I know we're not together, but I see where this is going. And I know we just said we love each other. I know. It was beautiful. I meant it. I do. I think we'll date very briefly before we get engaged. I don't have any doubt about that. We'll have the most beautiful wedding, not in this park, but near a waterfall. We'll barely be able to hear our vows over the rushing water. And before we know it, we'll have little birds in the nest. A girl, and then another. A boy, and then another. A girl. And we'll raise our 3 amazing children. Oops, we have one more. 4. And before we know it, our children have children of their own. Anyway, life doesn't pass us by. We absorb it. And at the end of our lives, we can't imagine it going any other way, or ever being apart. The thought of being apart, even in death, breaks me. I can't handle the loss of you. The pain of losing you is worse than ever having you in the first place. And so, I think it's better if we just don't.
I'm a medium. Why do you keep asking me if I'm a small? Do I look like a hobbit to you? I have wide shoulders. Look! See how my shoulders are wide, and as they go down it starts to V? That's because I have wide shoulders, alright? I know the last shirt you got me was a small, and it still looked big on me. That's because it was made that way. That's the design of how that company makes that style shirt. There are other companies I can get in a large, like that coat you made fun of me in, a little baggy. That was the design. Actually, you're right, that was a little too big. Why did I buy a coat so big? Do you think maybe I have a slight case of Napoleon disease? Not like a big case, but a small case. Well, I'm 5'11", so I'm no Napoleon. What? I am 5'11". I am not 5'9". Listen, the last time we measured was in an old house with crooked flooring. It still had the original floor from 1910. It's all lopsided. Everyone's height fluctuates depending on what room they're in. Like your Uncle Toby, who's 2'2", was staring me down in the kitchen, and in the living room, he was at my knees. Look, I'm no smaller than 5'10". That I'm 100% sure about. On my life. I swear, on my life. And that's still a good height for a guy, so I'm not complaining. I'll give you the inch. But please, most things fit me as a medium, so order me a medium.
I'm not stupid, Murray, okay? I wouldn't have done this if I hadn't considered every possible scenario. Every move you might make. What I would do if you did this or that. If there are a multitude of scenarios running around in my head. If we're locked in a crazy game of chess, then I'm 10 moves ahead. Your king is trapped. My queen's breathing down his neck. My knight's running him down like a pig. And my bishop's bashing his brains all over the chessboard. I left nothing to chance. Nothing, okay? We documented the whole thing. Planted evidence. Well, you practically gift wrapped it for us. I should thank you, actually. Not only did you make it so easy, but also kind of entertaining in a goofy, bumbling, Three Stooges sort of way. Like a little in-flight movie on our way to your money, where we'll be landing in just a few minutes.
You're a fake. It's what you are, an imposter. You talk about your book, your great success, and it's true, there isn't a newspaper or journal in which you and your book aren't favorably mentioned. Everyone loves you. You're the man of the hour. Who remembers me? No one. I've been banished to obscurity. And the critics were glad to see me go, too. You see, it was too much effort to extract thought from my heavy abstractions. It overworked their poor little brains. But you, the great vulgarizer, oh, you made my thoughts comprehensible even to pigs and horses. They don't have to think anymore. They don't have to reason. You've absolved them of that. They simply read your words and spout them back to you like some sort of silly mantra. You dressed my Apollo in a second-hand suit, my Venus in a cheap dress, and gave my principled hero the ears of an axe. But what do you care? Your career is made. No one is conscious of the theft. They applaud you wherever you go. Other writers imitate you. You'll be known as the father of an important movement. Meanwhile, I can't even pick up the paper without being confronted by faces in which I recognize the traits of my own children, my literary children. The fruit of long years of devotion to my craft, countless hours locked away in the study, struggling to unlock the secrets of a new language, a new vernacular, stripping away conventions. Oh, and I succeeded! I finally did it! Yet, none of my children recognize me. I'm a stranger. They know only you. It somehow isn't enough that you've stolen my wife. You've stolen my children as well, my legacy. And now, you come to me because, why? You feel guilty? You want my blessing? You want me to pat you on the back and tell you it's all okay? Fine! It's yours. It's all yours. Take it. My wife, my children, my ideas. Assume all rights. You are my lawful heir. It's funny. There was a time when I loved you. Even thought you a little gifted. You, my empty shadow.
I love him. I love him dearly, but it's just this one thing. Now, please, don't repeat this to anyone, but he farts too much. I mean, 1 or 2 times is enough to cope with, but he is a regular gas passer. He is. How often does he? Like, how many times? At least every day. At least once. That is certain. Yeah, and then he laughs out loud like a 3-year-old realizing farts are funny. Well, not when you're our age. I mean, come on. Now, I know he's lactose intolerant, but is that really an excuse? Is it? I think not. I think not because he can control it. Now, he tells me he gets these stomach pains if he doesn't let them out. I said, just be silent about it. Let them out quietly instead of bombastically. Do you know, the other night we were watching TV. We were watching a romantic movie, and all through the film, like every 5 minutes or so, he'd let one rip. And I mean, rip. Disgusting. Like someone had died and was left out in the open for weeks. I yelled at him. I told him if he was going to keep farting like that to go in the other room. You know what he does? Every time he had to fart, he'd go to the front door, to the hallway, and kept blowing farts out there. And then he'd come back to the couch. Finally, after like the 5th fart blown in the hallway, the landlord who lives downstairs below us was waiting for him. So when he farted, the landlord was standing at the bottom of the staircase waiting for him, asking him what the hell was going on and if something was burning. He was caught mid-fart, and that taught him a lesson because he got embarrassed, and he deserved it.